So today I'm going to be reviewing books I've read within the last 4 weeks. Some of them I do have more that will be coming for my next week's worth of videos, but these ones are all kind of on the same topic, so I decided to do these together. And so Sorcery of Thorns is by Margaret Rogerson, the same person who read Enchantment of Ravens, which I talked about in my last video. I have this rating system that covers topics of perspective, expectations, connection, reflection, and enjoyment for my personal analysis. And each one has kind of like 5 questions I look at and see if I can like sum it up or answer it. I'm not going to read them off one by one. And then I have a content analysis where I discuss plot, pacing, promise, writing style, characters, relationships, interactions, setting, lore, world building, themes, social justice, and morals. And so each of these topics kind of like reflect the star rating I'm going to give it. So between those 2 topics, I'm going to take like the average. So the first thing I always cover when I'm reviewing a book is the perspective part, to kind of see, so I can like list any personal biases I might have had or experiences that would have led me to, think certain ways. And I really like this book. It is not too deep. It is mostly just a fun, enjoyable read. I really connected with the fact that, it's really about libraries and books, and, she kind of grew up in a library, which I am jealous of. I wish that was me. But she's essentially, it's a library of, like, grimoires that can turn into beasts if opened or something, or you do something to them. Like, the grimoires are written by, like, sorcerers, and they contain, like, certain spells and stuff. And she's essentially taught that, all sorcerers are evil, and there's a lot of stuff with that I really like. That was fun to read. It didn't really change any perspectives or opinions or question any beliefs. For the perspective part, I'm going to give it... some parts did resonate with me, so half a star, but since it didn't really delve deep into like any philosophical topics I enjoy and stuff, like it doesn't get more than that. So that is half a star. For expectations, I went in with this. I heard a lot of good things about it, so did it meet up my expectations? Yes. So it fulfilled popular hype. It fulfilled the promise of the title, of the back. The ending is kind of iffy. I found out that a lot of these like fantasy books kind of have iffy endings. Like, it wasn't bad, but it also wasn't like fantastic. But expectations. Oh, I think I'm gonna give that a solid star because it fulfilled all my expectations. I wanted, a light, quick read. That's why I picked up, a standalone fantasy. And I would call this, like, if I were to categorize it in my bookshelf, I would call it kind of like fluff fantasy because it doesn't go too deep. And it's kind of like, it's, if I had written it, it would be like me kind of, not projecting, but like creating a book I just want to enjoy, and that's just it. So, full star. Okay, so for connection, I would say I was able to connect with the story a lot, especially with the character, and she goes through, some typical things that girls tend to go through in history and sometimes modern days, despite, things getting better and stuff. But one of my questions I will read off for you is this a guilty pleasure you would hide from those close to you? Is your relationship with the book now a defining point of your personality? Or is it just another story I've read and moved on from? And for me, it's just another story I enjoyed and moved on from. Like, that seems like a bad thing, but to me, it's kind of not. I guess it kind of falls into the guilty pleasure category because, it's not as deep and complex as, suits my interest now. But every once in a while, I do like a break from that stuff. And I liked all the characters, like especially the 3 main characters. So, yeah, that's also a solid star for connection. Okay, and now it's time for the reflection star. Looking back, I do look back on it fondly. Is there anything I would do differently? Kind of the ending. Not like the very ending, but like the final battle. Again, it's not terrible. It's just, I don't know. It was one of those like big evil gonna come and destroy the world kind of things. I did like, there was some momentous moments. I'm not gonna lie, but maybe it's just my, initial like love for just depth and complexity and consequences and stuff. Like, yes, I do still love the ending. It's just because of my normal taste, it doesn't really fulfill it all the way, but it's like 75-85% there. I had a very easy time getting through this book. It was a couple hours, like not even a long time. No more than 4 hours it took me. And ultimately, the book left me with, made me happy. I look on it fondly. I did reread it, like all of my favorite points immediately after I finished it. So yeah, I'm giving that another full star. Okay, so for enjoyment, there is a romance featured in this, and I really enjoyed it, actually, how these characters interacted with each other and how it was dealt. It did not fully take over the plot, which always is a plus. I don't know if I can pick a favorite character. Again, like the main 3, I really love. And then one of the questions I have is, what rank would I give this book in comparison to others of my choice? Again, despite how much I love this book, and I do recommend reading it, compared to what I have here, I would put it second to last. Like, again, it's not because it's bad or anything, it's just compared to some of the other reads I did, I do prefer other ones more. But I will give that a full star. And if there was any like merchandise for it, I would absolutely buy it. Like, I might put, especially like the grimoires, and maybe like that final scene that involved the grimoires that, if you read it, you would know what I'm talking about, or just something like that, because, it'd be fun. Okay, so for my personal analysis, this gets a total of 4.5 stars. There you go. For content analysis, plot, pacing, and promise. The plot revolved around this mystery of what happened, like what's happening, why are these grimoires kind of starting to turn into these monsters, who's responsible for it, and stuff like that. I will say the plot and pacing was fine. Yeah. It was very predictable, but also the way it handled it, it was good still. Despite predicting it, I still fully enjoyed it. Ultimately, I'd give that a full star, even though, it's not as complex as I would like. Okay. For just the purpose of this book, it fit the purpose of the book, so that's why I'm giving it a full star. Writing style. I had no complaints about the writing style. It wasn't very pretty, or stylized, which again is something I really look for in books, but also it was good. It was good. It was good prose. So yeah, ultimately, I do think, since that is such a defining factor for me, and a lot of things that kind of like I want to get into, I am only going to give it half a star, but ultimately there's really no problems with it. It's just because I feel so strongly about liking like unique stuff or like deep points of view and stuff like that, like it's worth taking off the half point, even though it'll fulfill most people's wants and needs. So, characters, relationships, and interactions, full star. I don't even have to read off any questions, because again, I really liked the main trio. I have nothing to say about anything else. Like, it's already going to be a long enough video, so. Setting, lore, and world building. The lore of the library and this one other like historical thing was good. World building was meh. Setting was like good. I think I'm gonna give this half a point. Again, it's not necessarily lacking. It's just that's one of my defining features of what I like in a book. So it's getting half a star. Then themes, social justice, and morals topic. There weren't really many themes. There were those real world issues addressed with how females were treated. It did not become too preachy or political at any time. I would give it half a point for what it did showcase with the female history, because it did handle it mildly well, I think. Especially for like young adult, like, you know, they did what they could. So I'm giving that half a star. And that is a total of 1, 2, 3 stars for content analysis. So 3 stars and then 4.5. Essentially 3.5, 4.5 somewhere. I mean 4. I'd put it in 3.5. But again, I still recommend it to, you know, whoever wants to read it. And I'm going to go to the next one. Okay, so Little Thieves. I'm not even going to do the whole list thing. It's just that one, you know, was very particular. This one, solid 5 stars for every single part. Again, the parts of the ending are just a little cheesy, but you kind of have to expect that. But this is a knockoff, not a knockoff, a retelling of the Goose Girl fairy tale, and it is done very well. I picked it up because I'm kind of implementing a Thieves Guild into my story, and I wanted some inspiration from like how thieves can think and stuff. So one series I will be reading soon is the Scotland's Gentleman Bastards, but this one, solid A+. I will be doing an in-depth review of everything this book does well, but I highly recommend it. Highly, highly, highly. And she has other books that are on my like Libby Hold list, and I cannot sing more praises about this. It covers everything I like about it. A little bit lacking on the world building side, but there's enough lore involved kind of in it that I feel it didn't need the extra world building. Like, despite not having it, it was perfect the way it was. So 5 stars. I can't say anything else about it. So yeah, it is going on my shelf. Okay, so next is Dreams Lie Beneath. Going in, I will say that perspective, it didn't shift any perspectives. It kind of had this, she started out as like an artist, stuff happened and she wasn't really kind of like an artist for like, you know, for a while. Like, I thought there would be more with it. There wasn't enough like time getting to learn like the magic system and stuff. I'm gonna give it 0 stars there. Rather than going back and looking at my notes, I'm just gonna do it organically here. However, I did read it like in a time when I needed distraction, and it provided that, and it was fun, and I read it pretty fast. So even with all that though, for me it gets a 0. Okay, so for expectations, why did I pick up this book? Well, it is about nightmares coming to life on this new moon, this ancient curse that's affecting the land, and these mages have to essentially take down these nightmares. And it sounds super cool, but like, it mostly wasn't about that. Like, it was kind of a thing in it, but it really did not meet, you know, the build up. There's a lot of like waiting around. Like, she's not waiting around, she's kind of trying to do stuff, but also a lot of the plot happens off page, which kind of answers the plot question. It didn't fulfill my expectations. So another 0. Again, it's weird because I still kind of recommend this book to like especially beginning fantasy, but it's not doing well. Connection. Did I feel connected to anybody or anything? No, I did not. I feel so bad rating this so bad because it wasn't that bad. It just wasn't as great as I thought it was going to be. I would say, because in this one is that guilty pleasure question, this would be considered one of my guilty pleasures because I still reread it sometimes. like some scenes and stuff. I just wish it's going to be one I'm definitely going to be digging deeper in and kind of like making it better in my Done Differently series. That focuses only on one book and improving that, so it will be there. But it gets another 0. I don't like this. Maybe expectations? No. Oh my god. Reflection on one of the questions is, do I think about it often? I do, but it's also to like stuff to improve it with that I wish happened. Did you have a hard time or easy time? I had a very easy time getting through it. I would reread it and I would recommend it. And it left me feeling like nice. Like, despite all the problems, immediately the thing I had was like, you know, it was fine. I'll give it half star. Because again, it doesn't also make me reflect on any, you know, particular scenes. I just enjoyed it as a whole. And I'm going to enjoy trying to improve it. Enjoyment. I'll give that a full star. I fully improved it. There. So personal analysis, 1.5 stars. That doesn't seem right, but it is what it is. Plot, pacing, and promise. Did not feel promise. Plot again happened off screen. Pacing was slow. It was more of a character-centered story, even though it was supposed to be like a quest-related story. Oh my god. This is going to be such a low rating. I'm giving it a 0. Because it was very predictable. I don't know if I could say it was believable. Relatable. Kind of. Not really. Purposeful. I mean, she had a purpose. She's trying to get revenge on these two magicians who essentially challenged her and her father to this duel to see who can take out like the nightmare first. Again, I'll go more into depth, but it'll have spoilers in it in my next review. But no, it doesn't. Oh my god. Okay, so writing style. Writing style, I will give it a full point. It was very nice writing, but it wasn't like overly done. So yeah, I'm giving it a full star because I do also probably because I do kind of want to save some, you know, love for it. Characters, relationships, and interactions. What we did get, I enjoyed, especially between her and the love interest, but also like it wasn't that great. And I wish there was more. Like there were these characters. She ends up living in this guy's house because she ends up becoming his mentor, and he becomes her mentor, so she's his student. And I don't know. I just really think we should have fleshed out more characters. I am giving that a 0.5 because I liked who we were introduced to, but they just felt kind of shallow, and we didn't get enough time with any of them. So, setting, lore, and world building. I really like the lore, the setting. It failed on the world building. I'm gonna give it a 0.5 star. Themes, social justice, and morals. Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing that I can recall off the back of my mind. Did the book do what the author wanted to do? I enjoyed it, so yeah. But ultimately, it didn't really feel like it needed any though. Like, no, but I really wish it did. I have to give it another 0. This hurts me. But also, it feels right. It's just, I still, like, I don't know. I do think I will end up getting rid of it after I make the video about it. But, you know, if, again, young teenage daughter, if you were a guy and you kind of want to get inspired of, or practice, like, developmental editing, or get inspired with ideas and stuff, or prose, I guess read it. But, I don't know. You might like it. So that is a total of 2 stars for that. So 2 stars for that one, and 1.5. So there you have it, 1.5 to 2 stars. I would take the average, but again, on like Goodreads and other stuff, it's not important enough. And it's too close together, and there's, you know, I do have a third analysis I do. It's like the surface analysis where I judge like the whole book itself. But ultimately, you know, that's for some other stuff I will be doing to kind of introduce authors into potential, you know, people they might want to meet for covers and, you know, author backgrounds and stuff. So that's not for this. So it would ultimately go back here with my other ones that I'm going to be reviewing. But for now, since it's blocked by the whiteboard, I'm just putting it there. And the final one is this Hazelwood series. Oh, in case you didn't know, this one is last in the list. So yeah, it's weird that I still recommend it despite giving it a low rating. But if you literally just want an escape and just to read in a light story that you might be mildly, you know, disappointed by, you know, there's still enough going on in it that I feel like it's interesting. But yeah, I'm going to stop talking about that one now. So this one is number 2 in the series. And I wish I could name it number 1, but I don't know. Let's see what I can give it for the stars. Perspective. So I went in, I really like fairy tales, so that's one thing. And I went in wanting to get inspired for my own fairy tale series, both of which succeeded. And it really interested me. It didn't really challenge any perspectives I had. Ultimately, I'm going to give it half a star. I might change that depending on kind of topics I cover later. This is a new kind of list that I'm getting more used to, so. Expectations. It fulfilled all the expectations of what I wanted. Again, I already told you why I picked up this book. I do think the author definitely, you know, fulfilled the promises. So yeah, full star. Connection. I do. One of the things is, do I have any opinions on the fandom surrounding the story? And I do. And it's that there is no fandom, which surprises me. Like, this is something I would love to, like, get into with people and, like, talk about, because it introduces, like, all these concepts for worlds, different worlds you can create and stuff. Like, I really like it. But connection. Did I feel connected? I didn't really feel connected to the character. She was very different from me. She had a very different story. But I did feel connected kind of to the, what's his name, Ellery Finch? You'll know who I'm talking about when you read it. You should read it. And I would actually recommend this to guys or girls. Like, not even... The main character is a girl, and there is a guy that shows up, and you do get some of his point of view in the Night Country. But I honestly think it's a solid enough story that, you know, I would introduce it to guys too. But connection. Did it inspire me? Yeah, I'm giving it a 0.5. Reflection. Looking back, I look on it fondly. Is there anything I would do differently? No, like nothing that stood out to me. I had easy times getting through it. Super fast reads for me. I would reread the book. I actually did read this one twice because I read it first in high school, and then it took forever for this one to come out, and I forgot about it for some while. And then I found these 2 books at a discount store, and so I bought it, and then I reread it. So, what feelings did it leave me with? Yeah, it left me with good feelings. I'm going to give that a 1. Enjoyment. Again, I would rank it number 2 of books I reviewed. I would absolutely buy merchandise from this book. Like, I was hoping this would come out. Like, I didn't think it would, but she did it. And I'm so happy. And it's such good. Even if you don't want to read, like, these books, read this. Read this. Sorry, I have, like, my camera here to see if there's anything wrong, and I keep talking to myself instead of to you. Okay. I have some fun questions on here in case I can think of anything on the spot, like summing up certain things in defining moments, certain characters. I might leave that for like other videos. So yeah, I'm just giving that a full 1. And then content analysis, plot, pacing, promise. To me, the pacing was fine. Could there be some improvements here or there? I guess, but not enough for me to like comment on it really, or really, you know, talk about it. I'm gonna give it a 1. A 1. Because part of the thing is that you essentially do start reading kind of 2 different books, because it takes place in the real world and then it transfers into this other world and stuff. But at the same time, it's what the story's about. So, you know, writing style. I really like the writing style. It wasn't as deep of a point of view that I like, but it was enough to like really, really get me. And she did some unique tricks that kind of inspired me for my own writing and stuff. So I'm giving it a full star. Characters, relationships, and interactions, full star. You meet a lot of fairy tale characters and stuff, and the relationship she has with this guy is very complex. It gets weird here, like the romance. I wouldn't have gone the romance route, but it did. And it's not terrible. Like, it doesn't, you know, make me like it less. It was just a whatever. Okay, so setting, lore, world building. 1. If I could give this 2 stars, I would, just for that topic. Themes, social justice, morals. I'm giving it a full star. Because the whole point of, like, the Tales of the Hinterland is that there isn't any, like, I mean, there is kind of a purpose behind it, but it's not, like, no moral purpose. Things just happen because they happen. Which I really like. It was a very unique take on fairy tales and stuff. Like, there's no morals to be learned and stuff. It's just sometimes rotten people doing rotten things. And ultimately, the book is about creativity, you know, claiming, you know, your own story and stuff, like not being forced to play certain parts. And yeah, full star. That is a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stars for content analysis. And then 1, 2, 3, 4 stars. So 4.5. Almost to the level of Little Thieves. Just a little bit under for a few just minor things it could fix. So that is all I have for you today. See you guys next time.